So I was looking at my bookshelf the other day, and I realized I have a lot of books on writing. And the reason I have them isn't because I'm a fiction writer, it's for my gaming. And that's what I wanted to talk about, using writing books in RPGs, today on Greyhawk Ragnar. So there are several different kinds of writing books that have applicability towards RPGs. There are some books that will help you with world building. There are some books that will help you with plotting out adventures and characters and so forth, and some that will actually help you while you're running the game. And I just wanted to quickly run through some examples of these and how you can apply them in your own RPG play. So world building is something that you're going to find a lot of material on, specifically geared towards RPGs. You know, there's lots of world building guides and so forth. But there are also books on how to write science fiction and fantasy that have a ton of great material on world building. I've got two here, how to write tales of horror, science, fantasy, and horror, fantasy, and science fiction, and how to write science fiction and fantasy by Orson Scott Card. This one's an anthology that deals with all kinds of different things, and I just wanted to give you an idea of the depth of different kinds of information that you're going to find in a book like this. And I'll put links to all the books that I mentioned. I'll put links below. But you've got, Robert Bloch telling you how to write horribly for fun and profit. You've got Dean Koontz keeping the reader on the edge of his seat, and that applies to players too. Well, that's the point of this video, is anything that you're hearing about readers will also apply to players. So you're getting tips from Dean R. Koontz on how to keep your players on edge, which is just a great thing. World building in horror, occult, and fantasy writing by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Ramsey Campbell, avoiding what's been done to death, avoiding tropes and things like that. More by Dean R. Koontz. There's just, when you get professional authors of that level that are giving you tips on how to build your world, how to manage your players, and so forth. The Psychology of Horror and Fantasy Fiction by Kathleen Ramsland. There's just a ton of great stuff in here by authors who've been doing this for literally, there's got to be centuries worth of writing between all the different authors that have participated in this one. Then you've got Orson Scott Card, who is a terrific writer, whatever you think of his politics, telling you specifically how to write about fantasy and science fiction, world creation, story construction. It's you can't beat having tips like that from authors of this ilk. And there's tons of other books like this. I'm not trying to necessarily make specific recommendations, but just the idea, when you're in the bookstore, and I hope you do still go to bookstores, go to the writing area. It's usually mixed in with the reference stuff, and you'll find all kinds of books like this. Another book here is another collaboration of 50 different authors like Clive Barker, Ray Bradbury, Neil Gaiman, Stephen King, Dark Thoughts on Writing, and you're getting things on sex, death, and other unspeakable concerns, personal fears and practical philosophies, advice, where do you get your ideas, just, again, all this stuff, while it's talking about writing, is directly applicable to your D&D or your Call of Cthulhu or whatever kind of game you're going to play, because what is an RPG but an emerging story that's told? And if you have the DM or GM or whatever you want to call the person leading the game, if they're aware of these techniques and they have this knowledge at their fingertips, then they're going to be able to guide the game in a more a much more fun direction. Now, there's some things that are very practical. So you have books such as 20 master plots and how to build them, and Plots Unlimited. 20 master plots, as you might expect. It is, it's going to tell you about the quest plot, the adventure plot, the pursuit plot, rescue, escape, revenge, and it's giving you all kinds of specific ideas that you can use when you're developing these kinds of plots. Rivalries and maturation and love and sacrifice and discovery. All these are themes that you can work into your adventures, especially if you're into a more modern game like 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that focuses on specific storylines, which are called campaigns, which is kind of different than what I think of when I use the word campaign, but that's how it's used today. And this is a story. It's got you've got a DM and you've got the players, and they expect to have a specific kind of story that will go from this point to there, to there, to there, and then you have an end. So, especially in that kind of a game, when you have plot outlines in a book like this that will tell you, okay, here's a checklist for the master plot number 3, the pursuit. The chase is more important than the people. Make sure there's a real danger of the pursuit getting caught, so on and so on and so on. It gives you specific things when you're trying out that particular kind of plot that you want to do, and that's what makes this kind of book so important. Then when you've got Plots Unlimited, this is actually a really great idea, because it's got 3 different clauses: an A clause, a B clause, and a C clause. It's got the protagonist clause. Then you mix that with the action clause, and then you have the resolution clause. And you can mix and match any of the A's with the B's and the C's. And if you can see this, the edge here, you've got the A's are marked off over here, then you pick anyone out of the B's, and then you pick anyone out of the C's, and that gives you a plot. So, for example, I'm just going to go with, let's see, let's just pick one at random. A married person, finding an obligation at odds with ambition, inclination, or necessity. Impulsively takes over a business with which he has no experience. So right there, you just have a plot for a story or a game. If you want to, you could turn this into. They're actually already numbered. So if you wanted to roll a D1000 on some of these, or D20, whatever applies, then you'll be able to put this together into an actual thing for specifically geared towards RPGs. And just because these don't, the plots in here aren't necessarily about fantasy or science fiction or horror or whatever you're running. On the fly, you can change that, and a lot of these are very generic. Jack finds a bundle of love letters locked in his wife's desk, letters written after they got married, but not by him. And then Jack, finding his wife is unfaithful, murders her. That's a kind of a plot that will apply across the board. You can use that as the launching point for something in Call of Cthulhu. You could rearrange it slightly for a fantasy game or even a sci-fi game. And you've got a plot hook that just lets your player. You can launch a game off of that. And having a book like this at your fingertips, when you can just, oh my God, my players are coming in half an hour. What do I do? I'm going to whip out my Plots Unlimited book, and I'm going to come up with a plot hook that launches the action. So you got a great book like that, and then you've got the what I consider the best for last: 45 master characters, mythic models for creating original characters, and you've got this is actually really cool because it does work off of mythology. So, creating female heroes and villains, you've got Aphrodite, the seductive muse, Artemis, the Amazon and the Gorgon, Athena, the father's daughter and the backstabber, Demeter, the nurturer, and so on. Then you've got another section for male ones: Apollo, the businessman and the trader; Ares, the protector and gladiator; Osiris, the male messiah and the punisher. And then it goes into depth on how to use those archetypes and how they can be applied to a story. For example, Hestia the mystic. What does the mystic care about? The mystic cares about simplicity. Give her a nice home base that provides space for her to be herself, and she'll do anything to protect it. She's gentle-mannered, but don't invade her quiet space. She needs room to be creative. A studio or garden is perfect. There's a druid right there, or a bard or something. I mean, there's you can just flip open this book, and you've got Poseidon, the artist. What does the artist care about? He wants to be treated as an equal to all the smarter men around him, but he isn't good at the business side of things and depends on them to help his career along. He cares more about pleasing his boss or agent and may wait until he comes home to vent his true feelings. That's a wonderful character. There's all kinds of depth to that character. It's 2 or 3 sentences, but it gives a great deal of backstory and depth to a character who might otherwise, just be a name. And again, this is one of those things you can literally just open it up and you put your finger down and, I've got a background for a character. So plus there's a lot of other stuff in here as well. How to plot the feminine journey. So there's all kinds of different. The 5 stages of the journey, 6 stages. So there's all kinds of ways that a book like this can help you, not only with the characters, but with story as well. So anyway, I hope this has been interesting for you. Next time you're in the bookstore, please look for these kinds of books, and don't necessarily limit yourselves to ones that say science fiction or fantasy or horror on the cover, because even a generic book like this or this is going to have direct applicability to your horror or sci-fi or fantasy game. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ever used these kinds of books before? If so, let's hear your recommendations if you have any. And, hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.